God's plan of salvation is more complex than the universe, and here's why. In Romans 11 and Ephesians 3, 1-12, Paul talks about the wisdom of God. And what's interesting to note is that he appeals to God's plan of salvation for his people, whether Jew or Gentile, as proof of God's infinite wisdom. In Ephesians 3:10, he says it's the birth of the church which shows God's wisdom to the heavenly powers. And in Romans 11, after talking about the mercy of God towards the Gentiles, he praises God's wisdom. In the light of these two passages, it's clear that what manifests God's wisdom above everything else is God's plan of salvation. This plan, more than any other, is his masterpiece of wisdom and knowledge. How can this be the case? Doesn't the complexity of the universe show God's wisdom and knowledge as much, if not more, than his plan of salvation? When we observe the amazing complexity of the cosmos and the human body, and we compare all that with the way God deals with men in the Old Testament, it seems to be a one-sided comparison. The universe and all it contains seems to be considerably more complex and complicated and difficult to understand than his plan of salvation as shown in the Bible. However, this is not the case. Why not? Because despite its incredible complexity, the universe does not contain any spiritual mystery. What I mean by that is that Satan understands the universe. He understands better than men the laws of physics which regulate the cosmos. He understands DNA. He understands the connections in the brain. He understands the workings of the black hole. He understands all that. However, he didn't understand God's plan of salvation. He observed it, studied it, did his best to ruin it, but he never understood it. And this was not because God kept from him important information, as he could see God's plan being worked out over the generations, but because he just could not fathom the wisdom of the Most High God. God's ways are a mystery to Satan. Maybe he thought he had thwarted God's plan of salvation when Adam gave in to temptation in Eden, or when Judas betrayed Christ and gave him over to be crucified. Yet it was at Christ's resurrection, and especially at the birth of the church, the cherry on the cake of God's plan, if I may talk like that. It's at that very moment, says Paul, that Satan got a glimpse of the genius of God's plan. In his infinite wisdom, God had used those attacks of Satan to accomplish his eternal plan, and Satan didn't see a thing. He just couldn't figure out the infinitely brilliant strategy that God had put into place to save men. He who understands the universe never understood God's plan of salvation. Oh, the depth of the riches both of the wisdom and knowledge of God. How unsearchable are his judgments, and his ways past finding out. For who hath known the mind of the Lord? Or who hath been his counselor? Or who hath first given to him, and it shall be recompensed unto him again? For of him, and through him, and to him are all things, to whom be glory forever. Amen.